How many people do we usually have online?
I honestly, I'm too busy. I stopped counting after the fifth session.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure I address them as well.
Currently, you have 3.
Okay. And I supposed to let him in, right?
Yes.
That's it, yeah.
I keep that with everybody else.
Okay, first. Okay, Richard, you ready? Yes, sir. Well, my name is Aaron Alcides. I have been with Keller Williams, this is my second time with Keller Williams. And I've been now a little over 2 years. I've been doing real estate for 9 years after a 26-year banking career. My passion for real estate goes back to when I was 21 years old, when I bought my first 4 units. And my career in banking took off, and I could sort of wanting to do real estate on the side because I got to an executive level with the banks, and I was making very good income. Every year over $200,000. It's very difficult to walk away and go into zero commission only. So that was a very challenging decision, and that is why I delayed it so much. But in 2011, after managing 19 offices for a bank and traveling from Torrance all the way to Woodland Hills to Burbank to downtown LA, I was a little burnout because it's just like having 19 different teams and 19 dysfunctional families. Every day you have to put them together, right? So right when I was ready to quit banking, this bank right here in the building, Malaga Bank, actually hired me, and I became one of the 4 executives for them. I was in charge of their branches, or continuing branches in the last 5 years that I spent with them. And I used to come there all the time. I used to come to the executive meetings, and I'm, always look inside Keller Williams, and sometimes I would see some agents come out a little, kind of like a little snotty. I have a lot of agents, and I'm like, I always saw like, that's not how I want to do real estate. And my contract with the bank ended in 2011, and unfortunately, I was going through a really bad divorce, and at that moment, I was just making decisions for me. And I said, this is my time. I went and I started doing some consulting with real estate back then. That's how I got in. A lot of people were selling or losing their homes in 2010, 2011. So at that time, with all the connections that I had in banking and all the people that were handling those properties, I started being a mediator and consulting for some investors. And these people were buying, they used to call them tapes. A tape would have 100 properties, a tape would have 500 properties. And these people were buying them without even looking at them, because they were getting them like dirt cheap. I mean, it was so inexpensive. I remember at that time, my brother, after telling him not to do it, he still went and bought it. And he ended up losing his home to short sale. He bought it at the height of the market in the end of 2006, and he paid almost $500,000 for it at a house in South LA, and ended up selling on a short sale for $186,000. I wanted to buy it, but because I was related, I couldn't get it. That was part of the rules. But soon enough, the amounts of properties of doing the consulting stuff, and I went into, and I got my license. A friend of mine kept saying, you're going to do well at this, you have the personality for it, and you have the network for it, you know so many people. Yeah, this should be easy for you. And I went to get my license. I remember I got the books, didn't do anything for like 6 months. And in 1 week, I actually took all the 3 tests, turned them in, passed them, made the appointments, and got my license really quick. It was, it was the weirdest thing. Didn't do anything for 6 months, but then like within a matter of, back then, they were not all backed up like they're right now. Ended up getting my license, and a week later, I got a referral for this. And a double-ended that.
Nice.
It was a short sale.
Mm.
There was nothing sure about that short sale. It took 6 months to close it, and that's how I ended up getting introduced to real estate. I did not know one single thing about like the paperwork. I had a mentor. The person that invited me to join Keller Williams actually was helping me in the process of doing that. They moved to Texas. So I had to figure out some things. So I just got a new mentor and got the transaction done that way. When you're an executive for a bank, you have a really great admin assistant that makes you look really good at the details. Well, I have no attention to details. All I know is that I love to talk to people. People tend to trust me when I talk to them. And I ended up partnering up with another agent here for about 2.5 years. And the first year we partnered up, we sold 16 properties. And
So 60 properties,
16,
16
yeah,
properties.
16 properties. And interesting enough, I did not truly learn to do the paperwork for real estate for 3 weeks later. 3 years later. Because my thing was calls, sales, and she would take care of it. Then I moved companies, took one of my mentees with me, he started doing the paperwork. And then he left me, and all of a sudden I have 3 escrows, and I need to figure out what that heck to do. Looking really quick though, but since then I've been using a transaction coordinator. I've been leveraging, as you're gonna learn in this class, the leveraging is the best thing that you can ever do. Using a transaction coordinator or a virtual assistant down the line is what you guys want to be able to do. I know that's a lot about me. I'm currently part of the leadership council here with the ALC, Asian Leadership Council, and I'm projecting to do about 20 million this year, which is not too bad. And it's not that complicated. Just if you just do the basic activities, time over time, which is what I told this to young people back there, is to just do the basics. You make your calls, you follow up with the people that you know, you talk to people about real estate, stuff happens. Just happens. But you just have to be consistent in doing those activities. If you don't, trust me, you can come to the office every day, you can take as many classes as you can, but if you don't do the prospecting part of this business, you're not in business. You only have a business after you have a client, a buyer, a seller, a lease, whatever, anything that can make you money in this business. To know who I'm talking to, and this is the first time I teach this class with this round. So please tell me a little bit about you, how new you are, or if you have some experience, because sometimes experienced agents come in, depending on who's teaching, sometimes I can need to take the classes still. Because what we share with you, by the way, is reality. There's no theory in what we teach. We teach you exactly what we're dealing with day in, day out. And the good and I good. What's your name?
It's Rachel. Rachel Falcaro.
How long have you had your license?
Since June 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what kind of activities are you doing for your business?
Well, right now I'm still doing the mentoring.
Uh-huh.
Because I didn't get here until July.
Okay.
So,
So what kind of activities are you doing as a mentee?
we haven't gotten there yet. Like I already told my mentors if we can start doing door knocking, teach me how to do door knocking. And they said, yeah, we'll get to that. But I left for a month because I had some
Okay.
funerals to go to, so I just came back.
So, okay, so. Nothing,
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you. What's your name?
My name is Alex.
Alex?
It's,
And how long have you been licensed, Alex?
I've been licensed for 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been licensed for 4 months. Been with children really young for, I'll say about going on 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
You in the mental program?
I'm not in the mental, but I joined a team
Oh, okay. Where you with?
during this.
Gary, okay. Well, you're gonna be busy. You're a busy guy. And your name?
I'm Annalisa.
Annalisa?
Yeah, I'm Annalisa. I've been licensed for 13 years. And I just recently joined KW Subway.
What company were you with?
I was with EXP.
Oh, really? I actually did in the next.
Yeah, you did too? And Laura too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of experience do you have? Like,
I got,
what, 13 years? You
Yeah.
must have a lot of experience.
yeah, not kind of, I joined, but I got licensed in 2009, so it was during short tail era.
Okay.
So I thought it was great. So, now it's a lot better because, it's just, but I started really, during that time. So everything short sale. So, I've been, it's producing. So,
How's your years? How are you doing this year?
how am I doing this year? Well, I have closed 8 and I have 2 extras to this days, but still not same as last year production. So I want to say I'm about 50%. Hopefully, and hopefully to close 15 this year, that'll be good,
Okay.
but it was better than last
It's very good. I mean, and last year, it wasn't as good as this year.
year. Oh, wow, that's
This
good.
year is much better. So, Patricia,
My name is Patricia. I got my license in January. I worked for the company and I started with Keller Williams in July.
Okay.
And this in August, I was in full time in this.
so, do you have any plans already?
Yes, I have one client working with, and I had 2 potential clients.
Nice.
Next month.
Actually, literally 5 or 7 minutes before coming here, we were sending an offer to be a DocuSign to get it signed by the buyer. So,
Yeah,
Is she a member?
yes.
yes. Yesterday was very hard work because we saw six house
It's out.
in the morning. Really faster.
Yeah.
1.5 hour. So it's in Vegas.
Yeah, it's pretty far out
I share that too, so.
there. Yeah. No, you know what, and then that's what I always say. When you get busy and you have quite a bit of business, you can get a little more selective. You don't have anything? Just go in.
Yeah.
If a client wants to work with you out there, just go get it.
Wherever in the
Right.
business is, yeah. Yeah.
I normally focus in Torrance and Redondo Beach. But this year, I've been in Canyon Country, I've been in Valencia, I've been in Long Beach, literally all over.
Like north to
Yeah.
south and east, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because it's the first year that referrals,
Yeah,
when it's a referral, then you just
yeah.
I mean, you want to market locally because you want to expect that kind of traffic. But when the referral comes, run, you take it, okay? And Richard,
I got licensed in 2019, but I haven't been active since this year, January. And I'm under Aaron as a program officer. And yeah,
okay, so who do we have in Michelle's? Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I just wanted to get an idea of who has experience and who the audience is to decide how much I'll break this down. When when you first get started, most likely you're gonna end up first working with buyers. It's the default, okay? You can get lucky and get a referral and somebody. Please, can you mute? Thanks. Ashley, can you mute, please?
Yes.
Can you mute? Thank you. So the reason why buyers is because, you know, listings is a lot of people require a little more experience. I didn't know anything like that, listing, but that was just because of the, that being a referral. And, I didn't have to do much to get it, but to take the contract and go get it signed. But when you have to market yourself, it's a little more challenging. The good thing is that, you know, Keller Williams, even when I do with other companies, I always send people to Keller Williams because we definitely have the best training out there. This program should prepare you to be able to do your first 15 transactions. That's how important this program is. At least for myself and most of the trainers, we don't hold back. We don't have a bag and we just pick what we share with you guys. We share everything. And it's unfortunately that we share so much information and not that many people implement what we teach. So don't let this be the only time that you're doing night. I mean, if you've already done your calling, if you've already done your prospecting, and you have time to do the training, come there. The experience you get from actual active agents is priceless. Okay, because we are out there doing it every day. So we do cover a lot in this training. What would you consider to be a good way to get in business quick with buyers? What can you use to go get a buyer?
Planning your influence. Because
Okay.
influence circle.
The low hanging fruit is friends, family, and make sure that you stay in front of them. Don't annoy them, but say, make sure that you let them know often enough that you are in the real estate business. Don't focus about, I'm wrong view, that I can help your friends. No, you know what? I have a mentor that I'm working with, and we're really good at what we do. Like, I tell them, I said, my team, I have a team, I have a couple of people that work with me, and my mentees can go and say, my team does this. My team just sold 18 homes this year. My team just listed a home and sold it in a week. Okay, that gives you a little bit of credibility. Or you can say, my office. Keller Williams, we have 370 some agents, right? So we can use my office does this. Or even for prospecting, if the office has a listing that just closed in the area, go door knocking. You know, tell them, oh, did you see the listing that my office just sold down the street? Right? You're not telling them. I'm from you, but my office is sold down the street. They don't know. And as long as you get the support, I mean, you know, with everything you do, right? It's a little hard in the beginning, but after a little while, you start getting experience. Do not worry too much about what you don't know. A lot of people get frozen, okay, thinking of, oh my God, how about if I have to write an offer? Don't worry about it. Just get the person you're going to write the offer for, and you won. By just doing that, you automatically win. Okay. Don't worry that you have never listed a house. When somebody tells you, oh, a friend wants to sell a house, you're like, what do I do now? Just getting that lead or getting that person that's going to be your client is key. Paperwork is absolutely important, but that is something you're going to learn And trust me, every time I do a transaction, I always learn something new that I learn, because every single transaction has its own little personality. Right? So worry about being in business. And what did I say was the only way that you are in business?
To bring your buyer, customer.
Right. If you have a client, either a buyer or a seller, that's when you're in business. Before that, you're not. You're just like you're just learning. And I see people that are learners for life. They go to every class, they do all this, they do all that, and for that, then sometimes they confuse that with work. Okay, work is making your call. How many contacts does Keller Williams recommends to make a day? Have you guys heard that?
I think it's 10 or 10 or 20.
It's 20.
Just one.
And what's a contact? What's a contact?
Contact the people you call, then pick up, you have a really big conversation with, or people you check, you respond back with really big conversation.
That's a contact. So how many calls do you have to make with the 20 contacts? Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. So, let's say you were to do that, right? And every day, oh, Gary Nix, sometimes he doesn't take a day off on the weekend, if he did not do his number of contacts. He knows by Thursday. He knows by Thursday evening if he's gonna have a day off this weekend. And it all depends on where he's at with his number of contacts. He is a machine, he's a calling machine. Excellent habit to have. No, that's what he's definitely one of the top dogs here. All right, so let's say you get somebody finally refers to you, or you get a client. What do you do next? They say they want to buy, a client comes, they say they want to buy, well, everything in this area is way over. So let's say they want to buy 750,000. It doesn't matter, the price doesn't matter. What do we do now?
Get an appointment to get qualified, if they're using loan.
Okay. So we qualify. What would be some of the qualifying questions? I want you guys to think. I can tell you, I mean, I can just go ahead and preach to you today, but I want you to like participate. I want you to share. What are some of the things that you need to know about this person?
So we get a consultation, then for that consultation, you will get like your income, with the two sales, the two taxes, return, you send out W2, or if they're work independent, or if they're working with if they're employee, then after that, you get the pre-approval, then from there, right?
Yeah.
Then get a pre-approval, then from there, that's what we know the price, houses to show them instead of trying to show them stuff that get expectation, they don't know, oh, you can afford the house, and you all disappointed and stuff.
Very good. One of the problems that we have is that we hear, I want to buy, and you ask, well, come on, and then you like start selling the property. Then you start saying appointment to go show. And I see that done all the time. And I always say, stop, slow down. Your job is to get them in. And now we're gonna do the presentation, the buyer presentation. And we're gonna learn what is it that they need. I can't remember who I was telling, if it was my team member Tyler, or if it was Richard. I was telling them, I said, let's not do surgery before you know what's wrong with the person. Because that's what we do, right? When we start showing properties and we don't know how much they qualify for, and we don't know if they even can buy. We're doing surgery before the diagnosis. So we need to make sure that we take our time, okay, to examine the person. Okay, why do they want to buy? Where do they want to buy? What does the house looks like? And most important, and even when you do an appointment, most of my appointments, by the way, with buyers, I usually do them with the lender at the same time. Mhm. Why? Because I know right there and then, and I let the lender go first. Because one of two things is gonna happen, they either great, they pass the flying colors and they, I mean, the lender can tell them right there and then, 30, 40 minutes, if they qualify or not, if not. And if they don't, then what kind of plan we need to put them on? So that's gonna determine if I do a full-blown buyer presentation or not. Or we're going to, this is what you need to do for the next 6 months, for you to be ready to buy down the line. Or we can go into what the expectations are going to be, right? Because we know now what we need to know from them, right? But how about if the buyer comes and looks at you in the eye and says, Richard, why did I work with you? Yeah.
Is that gonna happen?
No,
I have a great team. With a lot of experience. And, what else?
we shouldn't spot.
Yeah, I have a great team with a lot of experience. I'll be available as much as possible for your needs, and we'll find you the best home.
So what's your value? What's your value that you're gonna bring and that you're gonna offer to the person? How are you gonna win for them? Right? So how about, you know what? We have a great team and we great negotiators. We are very good and we're gonna know if the property that you like is overpriced or not, and we're gonna go in with a very strong offer. We structure our offer in the best way that for it to get accepted. We offer great terms and we're in constant communication with the other side to make sure, okay, that you get the best deal possible. How you deliver that? It makes a difference in the workforce, right? So it needs to be very, not cocky, but you know, very confident, very sure of what that you know what you're talking about. Okay? Because I don't know why my watch, even if I shut my phone down, my watch still rings. I haven't figured out why. Oh my God. So I'm sure you guys are newly licensed. I probably forgot it already, but there's a lot of words like fiduciary. What is fiduciary? What is your fiduciary duty with your client, buyer or seller? What is that?
Honesty, trust, loyalty.
Okay.
Be
So-
that person that they can talk to.
So the fiduciary duty is to have your client's interest as a priority, even over your own. Meaning that you're gonna do everything possible to protect your client. Just like an attorney, right? What's the attorney? I mean, it's crazy because sometimes the attorneys have to defend even the person that they don't even believe. But they have to, you better believe that they're gonna have to do their very best job at protecting their client. So if you're representing a buyer, okay, you're gonna make sure that they don't, you know, that they don't overpay, or if they want to in the trading market, right? It's changing a little bit, but we're still in a, well, actually, I want you guys to think it. Are we in the buyer's market or are we on a seller's market?
We're still in the sellers, right? I believe we're still in the sellers.
Get into the
By the inventory, we're still,
Can we in some way, we can get into that, push into it?
Okay, so Patricia, are we on a buyer's market or seller's market? Okay, so those are the questions that you need to
That's
answer.
as if I was there. You told me.
Hello? Oh. The way you answer that, it needs to be like quick and the right way, otherwise people start losing confidence in you, right? There's nothing that you can do more, is that if you look not confident when you're talking to your clients. Because what are you gonna say? Is she or he gonna do a good job for me? So when they ask you, are we on a buyer or seller's market? So we are in a seller's market still. There's nothing that indicates that we're in a buyer's market. Yes, inventory is building up, but we're still way below what is a normal or what would be considered a buyer's market. Okay? And that's something that you need to own, because when you're talking to your buyers, you need to make sure that you're guiding them properly. Because there's people out there already thinking that they're gonna get a great deal on a home and that they can offer under what they're asking. Not yet. What you're not seeing is the 20, 25 offers we were getting before. But the projections for this year is for the prices to go anywhere from 6 to 8% higher. What we're not saying is, somebody, one of my clients is 3 months ago, paid $200,000 over. But the property was even worth, and it was cash, but they didn't care. It was, there was no appraisal. So the reason why rates are going in the direction that they're going is because the government is trying to slow down inflation. What was inflation? Inflation was people crazy overpaying for properties, and that was driving the price of the properties to where they were getting out of control. And yet, just with everything else right now. So what they're doing is artificially, by raising rates, people are kind of like, that's what we see now. People are waking up, they're slowing down. Okay, and now if the property is priced correctly, we still sell. The problem is that people have not made the adjustments necessary yet at pricing. So some properties might still be overpriced, and they're going to start sitting in the market. Okay. And this is really important when we get to the part about listings, because one thing is to list the property, and one is to sell the property. Okay. I'm going to show you a way to where everything I list, it sells on a weekend. All the properties I list is a weekend event. Okay. If a property sits more than 2 weeks, you're done. Now you have to chase the market, that's real price reduction, and that's not how you want to protect your client. That's that's not a good fiduciary. Because if you take the listing, you overprice that, which a lot of people do. Why? Because then you can start like cutting on the price, and having this conversation is not fun. Okay? So it's super important. The part of your fiduciary is to have clear communication and set clear expectations for your buyers and sellers. Okay, so if you have a brand new buyer and they say, well, I see a lot of homes, but I think we can start making low ball offers because the market has changed. What would you say to that? I've heard how people tell me that, and I have to go back and say, well, that's not the case. Because if that's the expectation they have, I can guarantee you're going to be busy showing a bunch of homes, writing a bunch of offers, and not going to get accepted. So you need to have the explanation that yes, the market is changing, inventory is building up, but we're still not where you're going to get a bargain in profit because we're still on a seller's market. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you define the seller's market? How can we be able to how can you define seller's market? Like, I know that you define about the property number and what you're like, can you define what the buyer's market?
A buyer's market is
How do we look at the buyer's market?
usually when there is at least 6 months of inventory. Yeah, that's when things start shifting towards a buyer's market. I mean, in the past few months, we have had like 9 days, 15 days, 20 days of inventory. That's being a complete phenomenon. It's just, we don't see that often, where there was just not enough properties. And that's what's creating the desperation of people that, I mean, everybody wanted it and everybody was willing to, overpay for it. And what did that do? It continued to increase, I mean, in some areas, real estate increased by 30% in a month, in a year's period. That's crazy. Right? So it wasn't sustainable. So that's why now we're artificially, by increasing the rates and slowing things down, inventory is gonna build up. Is way far from being 6 months.
Average is what, 4% a year? Increase on property values?
Well, 4 to 6%, that's I mean, different people say 6 to 8, 4 to 6, but nobody's saying the properties are going down. Now, there's no crystal ball about that. So stuff can happen that can cause, for real estate to go down. Is it gonna collapse like it did in 2007? Nope. And the reason why I say that is because 2007 was a totally different, it was a financial crash, not a real estate crash. The financial took down real estate because there was a bunch of funky loans that people took that they never should have gone. Today, people have the best interest. People have down payments. People have good credit. Everything's being done the right way. After all the regulation that came, banking regulation that came out of that crash, the financial crash, we have now properties have equity. Okay, so if anybody loses their job, the conversation we should be having is, well, cash out your equity before you lose the house, and they can still get out without short selling the house. So yes, we could see if the economy goes the way it's going and the recession that we're going into gets really bad, there's still be properties of people that are going to lose their job, people are going to lose their home. It happens, and it's unfortunate. But our fiduciary would be to help them make sure that they can save or get most of their equity out on a timely manner. And the sooner we tell them, the sooner we have the uncomfortable conversation, the better it is for them. Okay, they might not appreciate it in the beginning, and but we need to be definitely honest. That's why NODs or notice of default, FISBOs or for sale by owners, those are the ones that we should be contacting. Now, why is it important to have clear communication with buyers or sellers?
Good understanding.
Well, and it's just, and by the way, not just over the phone, make sure that if you choose or have them choose the preferred way of communicating, via email, via text, or via phone. If they choose via phone, make sure that you follow it up with a text or you follow it up with an email to confirm the conversations that you have. Okay, because when there's not clear communication, what comes next is lawsuits or misunderstandings. And you don't want to have misunderstandings, especially when you're dealing with people's most valuable asset or their greatest investment. So I'm here to tell you that if you're new in this business and you want to get into escrow, the fastest way to do it is through open house. Okay. I like teaching the class about open houses because just so you know, like I mentioned, I knew a lot of people. I was very well connected, and I thought that I was going to have a line of people waiting for me to help them with their real estate needs. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so until COVID hit, I have based 90% of my business out of open houses, listings, and buyers. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, what am I going to do? There's no open house. There's nothing. So that's when I actually hit my my database. Like myself, in an office at home, you had from 8 to 5 on the door, a sign, and I literally got showered, got dressed, and I went to do my call. a lot of characters, a lot of people that I have met in open houses before, some elderly friends, and that saved me. Okay, it literally took my business from being 60% buyers and 40% listings to now about 80% listings, 20% buyers. The connections and the following up. And why can't we just do that every day? Why can we just like pretend we're in lockdown and make those calls? It's a discipline that it'll pay off for you extremely well. Okay. Meeting buyers at open houses. I've seen people do open houses, and I think they should just spend the time with their families instead of being out there. Why do I say that? Because it's difficult enough for somebody to come into the house. By the way, I think it's a crazy number. I think it's like only 2% of the houses that you hold open would ever somebody walk in and say, I want to put an offer on this house for you. It usually doesn't happen. It has happened maybe 3 times that I actually have done it. There's a few where people come asking you and talk about fiduciary, right? There's people that come like, can I talk? Trying to take you away from the other people at the open house. Can I talk? I have cash. I want to make an offer, but you need to give me a great deal of this house. What are they saying? Right, low bullet. One had the audacity to tell me to like, oh, just push the other offer to the side. That way you can get both sides. Nothing can get you your license suspended and get you legal trouble to something like that. So your reputation is not worth any price of commission. Okay, so when people approach, especially when you're on the listing side, that starts happening more often. So the only advantage, okay, that a buyer would have in you representing them should be that they, because you have now fiduciary duty to them as your buyer, they should be able to know what it would take to get that price over the highest offer. So if the house, listed for $750 and it's now $775, you tell your buyer you need to beat that. So in a competitive market, people are willing to do that. Okay, but you should never misrepresent your seller to take just the lower end of property. And because you're literally going to have to now negotiate against yourself. You're not just negotiating one side, you're negotiating both. And guess who you're negotiating against? You. Not weird. I mean, California is one of the very few states that still allow it. And they're fighting to not to change it. Because it's very easy to compromise your integrity when stuff like that happens. So, and that's why clear expectations and communication are important. Okay, we have to have those honest conversations with the buyers. About one, sometimes we treat our clients, especially if we only have one, we don't want to say the uncomfortable stuff. Because why? Because we're afraid they're going to leave us, and now we're not going to have fun. That can create for you a bunch of misunderstanding, a lot of extra work, a lot of showing. Like I was talking to Patricia earlier, when one of the clients, it seems that the mother has great influence on the decision making. And I said, it doesn't make sense for you to go out there and show property without your mom. Let's start looking at the weekend before. We came here at 7:30 in the morning to go ahead and write a couple offers for those clients. And we got it out, we got got it all in, got the approval from the lender, got everything. Monday, they want to cancel the offer. I had things fall out of escrow because of the parents. So and that's something very important, by the way, when you're qualifying a buyer, make sure that you ask that uncomfortable question. Are you two the only ones that are going to be making the decision, or will you buy? Or is there somebody else that's actually going to be deciding? That's right, no, the mom, mom or mother-in-law, whatever, is involved. Make sure you get them involved in the process, okay? Because otherwise, they're gonna like something at the inspection, if we show up. Just happened to me literally a few months ago. At the inspection, this person is there to find everything crooked, everything wrong, every little spot that kind of passed. Okay, and pointed it out. By the time they leave, you're discouraged. So it's super important, and now you're like facing, a cancellation. So it's super important to make sure that you understand if there's somebody that exercises great influence. And this is a good way to identify. If one of the parents on either side is giving a gift, if one of the parents is helping with the down payment, they're involved. And they're gonna have a say. So make sure that you are careful with that. So in reference to dual agency, it is legal to do it. Just make sure that you're comfortable with handling both sides and making sure that you're comfortable with negotiating against yourself. If you're not, just don't do it. Just refer to a team member of the office or something like that. Okay. If you please tell them, like setting expectations, right? But especially with the buyer, tell them there's a bunch of paper. I usually say it's about this much. I'm exaggerating, right? But because then to them, after they start getting paper here, paper there, to them it feels like it's this much. So set the expectation. Let them know that these are, you should be prepared to go over the forms. But they should also understand that these are standard forms for the consumer protection and for everybody to be protected and for attorneys to have a relevancy. Okay. And again, ask them, by the way, if there's a couple, there's always one that's going to take the lead. Find out who's going to be actually making the decision, who's going to be, who you're going to be communicating with. Super important, because then all of us are going to start chasing both of them. They don't communicate until the end of the day, and some people are hard to get because of work. So set those expectations and also set, are we going to text? Are we going to email? And get that all up front. That way you can start moving forward with your plan. Also, have a clear expectations of the dates, okay, timeline. If somebody says, well, I'm not in a hurry, I don't really need to do anything until like 6 months from now, but I want to start seeing homes. That's a nightmare. Okay, my suggestion, I give them a stack of my business cards. And I say, you know what, the best way to do that is to open houses. But this right here is your ticket to go into those houses without you having to sign in. Why? Because you don't want them going, giving their information and then, some slick agent calls them and convince them to go work with them. But you also don't want to spend the next 6 months showing them property if they're not ready to pull the trigger. So make sure that you set those expectations. I mean, do you need to move in 30 days, 60 days? Because then we get going now. Okay, but if the thought is, I want to wait to get pre-approval until I find a house. Nope. When you set a meeting with them, you go through the questions, right? You have to have, if they're looking to buy a house, but they've been, sort of like doing temporary work, or I haven't worked for the past 2 years, I just started 3 months ago. All those are like red flags that they're not in a position to buy. Now, can you still have a consultation with them? Yes, but the consultation will be more of a guideline on how to get ready. But we're looking at now, close to 2 years for them to be ready, because it requires 2 years tax returns. Okay, and also they want to buy, well, where were you thinking? What area were you thinking? Those are the questions you'd be asking. Because if they want to buy $500,000, but they want to live in South Torrance, you might have a problem finding something. So the more you know, and the reason why I say that is because I have made a mistake of just taking the appointment without qualifying them first. And when they show up, now they tell me that 8 months ago they filed a bank. But they're working and they have savings. Can do it, not do much for it. So the more you know, the more precise you're going to be, or efficient you're going to be with those appointments. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if you find a buyer that says, okay, well, I'm ready, I've been working for 4 years and I have much money, my credit is pretty good, but I have my other co-signers that are not ready, we can still qualify that person. We can still try to see if we can approve that person without the other.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like again, it depends on or what kind of price point they're looking for. Yeah, no, we actually, with Brooke, I'm working on someone that wanted to wait because the wife is getting a promotion and it's gonna be like $75,000 increase in income. So they want to wait till the beginning of the year. I go, okay. How much do you think you want your payment to be a month? Because a lot of people say, well, I want to buy at $1 million. Then you tell them what the payment is going to be at $1 million. They go, I don't want to pay that much a month. So my point is that the people that want to wait till the end of the year, maybe they can qualify already with what they're already making. They don't necessarily think they need the increase of 75,000, but they might not want the big payment. If they tell you that they only want like a $3,000 payment, well, depending on how much they're putting down, you know that's only like a 520, 530 home. Okay, so just because people, make a lot of money, that doesn't mean they want to have a $10,000 payment and not be able to eat after that. So just ask questions, and just think about it. It has to be more of a logical thought. People, when they're buying homes, and the thing with the residential real estate versus commercial real estate, it's a very emotional, a very emotional process. I'll tell you, I have one of the most interesting transactions I've had has been that I was selling 3 homes. I was selling daughter, mom, dad home, and they were buying a triplex, colleague men. So, and the daughter was handling the paperwork for everything, right? With the parents, with the elderly, and it gets overwhelming, especially when you're doing selling and buying. But now you have 3 different homes. And believe it or not, I made the offer contingent to the sale of those 3 homes. But because of my track record of selling everything in the weekend, I was able to literally list one after the other. And I show the buyer side. As you can see my history, all my listings last from 3 to 8 days on the market to go actually go into escrow. And I couldn't believe that they accepted a contingency of 73 homes to buy that. And the biggest emotion came when the property getting appraised. And at the end, they had the cash for it, they wanted it, so. But it's just a very emotional. And you have to be understanding. But one of the biggest mistakes I see in real estate is not the buyer or the seller, it's the agent. We, the agent, can transmit to our buyer or seller the level of anxiety or the level of excitement. So I have had some experiences in my entire 9 years doing this. There's probably 2 or 3 agents that I probably not want to be in a transaction with again. Just because that's the tone they were setting for their clients. Oh my gosh. I mean, I would talk to the client be like, oh, you talk to the agent, but. And that can actually easily get picked up by your buyers. Okay, so we need to maintain, we need to be sensitive to the fact that it's a very emotional thing for them, but we cannot put ourselves in a situation that we are into a fighting match with the other side. So how do we make this process on the buying side a win-win? What would be some of the things that you think that you should do, especially when you're going to go show people property, the buyers? What would be some of the things? What are some of the things that you do when you go show property to your buyers?
I kind of like go first after like routing the houses that they want to check and see. But I kind of prepare them because sometimes they are seller occupied, could be messy and stuff. I kind of like prepare them. Okay, when you look at the house, you kind of envision yourself in it, or if there are still like see it the way you wanna view it, like kind of like clean slate for you. I kind of prepared them for that one, and also I tell them that you might fall in love with 2, 2 or 3 houses or whatever, but they some don't because I'm gonna compare them but most of the time I always tell them that because I prep them like choose or suggest, I kind of expect that they would write an offer at least for the showing because I don't want to be showing them 50, 60 houses and not do anything. So then if there was not a fit, I understand the first time. But the second time around, there's gonna be something. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job. So yeah, so I kind of like prepare them. Okay, we're gonna sit in this house. Remember, like bigger bedroom. Kind of like tell them to like the selling point of the house.
It is super important to pay attention.
Yeah.
The first tour, first of all, I tell my buyers, do not be afraid if you fall in love with the first house you see. I have sold many houses where it was the first one I showed.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the buyers have the anxiety that they're gonna miss out on something because they're gonna make a quick decision. Right? Well, I haven't seen enough homes. So sometimes, it's like it takes 100 calls to get 2 answered. Well, how about if the first 2 you make are the ones that answer, and then you make 98 of them. You can have any time in between that, right? So prepare them, say, for one, you're gonna know, when you get into that house, you're gonna feel it at home. You never feel it. People, for some reason, they just, it happens to where, and it's different for, for the different buyers, but they just know it's home. They feel comfortable, Prepare them if it's, let's say if it's occupied, okay, the visit, or if the tenant cannot leave and they're gonna be there to, view the home, and then we'll discuss it outside. All those things have to be taken into consideration. Also, please read the directions in the private remarks on the MLS. Because the worst thing in how you cannot do a good job for your client is that you call the listing agent and ask them something that they already gave you on the private remarks, on the notes. What is that? Because it happens to be all the time, get the first thing I say. That just shows how much the person is. If it already makes you look bad, okay, if you're not even reading instructions on the showing, if you're not reading the instructions on how to submit an offer, if they tell you, please send one file, one PDF file, that means that you consolidate everything, put it in one file and send it. I have gotten, even after doing that, I've gotten 12 attachments for one offer. That is a nightmare for the CH. So guess what? When they receive your offer, they're like, this is the person they call me. The relationship we established with the other side has a lot to do with them wanting to work with you. Because there's been a couple of times where, you know, 2 offers are identical. Yeah. But then I also look up the agent that I'm going to be working with. I also look up their licenses if they have any disciplinary action. But the listing agent, that's my fiduciary. That's me protecting my client. Okay. And here's when it's important, especially when you guys are new to do your backs. Because I will go and look at how much activity that agent has done. And if your brown doesn't have anything with brown new, it's a little scary. And I go and ask, I said, so who's going to be helping you with the person? Just like right now, I mean, they don't even know. Okay. Because I got into one that, you know, I'm like, I felt like I was doing both sides. Because I had to help the other agent that didn't know exactly what we were doing. And if we do right by our clients, if we keep our word to our clients, then it will be, you know, good to ask for a review where we can get 5 stars. And the important thing is ask them. I said, have I done a good job where you can give me a nice review? So think about that. To be able to ask that, you better believe, or you better know that you've done a great job.
Right, yeah.
Because if you ask for a review and they give you a really bad review, that's just like, it's like a tree, it's so like, boom, right in the toe. Okay, so check. You know, through the process, check with them. How things, is there, you know, is there anything that I need to change? Are you happy right now with the process? So by doing that, you can actually remedy, because people, unfortunately, when they're embarrassed, there's the ones that they're very quiet, they won't say anything, but those are the ones that come and sneak at the end and give you a bad review. And then there's the ones that are really vocal all the time, you're like, where did I get this? And then they do the opposite at the end, so this is weird, but you always want to be checking the temperature of your clients, where you are. If you're feeling a little bit of frustration with your clients, trust me, they know. And they feel it. So check yourself, okay, too, to make sure that there's absolutely no reason why they should be dealing with your frustrations. When you meet with your clients, when you go show property to your clients, depending on the price level, please do your homework. Know the area. I mean, there's certain properties that I actually go and take a look at it before. So when they're in the house, I can show them the house because what I already checked it. And there's times that you too busy that you can't. But if you're able to, the more you know about the property, because it happens to where, like, you know, they're already looking at the house and then there's something interesting there and like, well, what is this? And they're asking in a way that they expect you to know. So what you do is you go and take a look and, you know, you put a listing agent and you haven't find out what the heck that is. So you can go ahead and give them one. Remember, service. Any successful real estate agent has to be really good with service. Because that's what we are. Professional, yeah. Always professional. We always have to, look our best. Let's not assume that just because they show up in shorts and flip flops, that's how they want us to go show the properties.
As they say.
Correct. Yeah, well, I mean, again, it depends on the level of communication, and where you're with them. Okay, because that, I mean, that is the different entire world. But then again, buyers are easy to get. Open houses is the fastest way. And if you guys are not doing open houses, I'm telling you, it's gonna take you longer to get into escrow. So, my mentees, they require on Monday and Tuesday. They don't quit calling after they get an open house. There's a lot of companies that still allow to do their open houses. So if, let's say Gary doesn't have enough listings, he always does, but if he doesn't have enough listings for everybody, start calling other agents that have, especially out of area agents. Start calling them, hey, congratulations on that listing. Are you having an open house this weekend? Because I'm looking to do one, and I would love to do an open house for you. By the way, I do great open house. And that's how you can go ahead and get started. You don't have to have a listing on your own. You don't. So anything, any ahas in reference to buyers? Yes.
Is always necessary agreement, signing contract with the buyer?
Yes. But I would be hypocritical if I didn't tell you that. Me personally, I don't use it.
You use,
I don't.
oh,
What was the question?
A buyer's agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it really depends on the sort. And it depends also on the. I'm all about,
relation.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm big on the energy. I'm big on feeling the other person.
Rapport.
On rapport.
You really want to work with them, or do they?
Right.
I'll be honest, I don't use it, but I do.
No, I definitely, the answer is yes, you should use it.
Yeah.
For my first 3 years of doing real estate, the buyer's agreement was part of my presentation. I already had it filled out, and it was part of the package. Okay, and right at it was part of the process, getting the sign. And it should be. It should be, but I'm not gonna tell you here that I do it, because I don't. A lot of the buyers I get is, I don't feel the need. Don't tell Simon.
You feel confident with them.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with them, but there's times that I do, and sometimes if, this is the thing, okay, if they don't want to sign it, a lot of people, we as agents go into this mindset that it's going to upset the buyer when we present it. Like I tell you, and if we present it in that manner, it's gonna show. The buyer will know that you're like weird about it. They're gonna get weird about it. And you're gonna question why they need to sign it. Okay? Now, can a buyer get out of a buyer's agreement?
Yes.
How do they do that?
I mean, I know that it's possible, but I don't know. Maybe if you didn't meet their, if you didn't meet their obligation that they have on the contract, I think they might have, I haven't looked at it, but I think they might have like a time duration for that, for you to perform, right?
No, it's as simple as the buyer calling the brokers and saying, I don't want to work with this agent.
Oh, is that easy to call them the broker?
That's the buyer though. What about the seller?
This one here too. Okay, so my policy is this. Okay, this is just for my business. Okay, and it's just totally my opinion, not the opinion of Taylor Williams. I'm not gonna work with somebody that doesn't want to work with them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna hold somebody's house hostage by not releasing them. it's just that karma of my business. It's just, like I told you, to me, it's all about like energy, it's all about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I tell my sellers, when I take a listing, I say, you can fire me at any time. Just tell me why, and what is it that I'm not meeting. When I say check, remember, find out, take the temperature of your seller or your buyer. You're doing that because all of a sudden they start ghosting you, all of a sudden they don't pick up the phone, all of a sudden, you start seeing that detachment urgently. Find out what is wrong. Because you're most likely doing something that you don't even know you're doing, and they're picking it up. So, and that's kind of part of why I sort of stopped using it. Because I find out that there was somebody that I want to hold on to it, well, for the buyer side, because I spent a lot of time. And the opposite is.
But regardless, you can lose a minute.
Correct.
Remember.
But the correct thing to do in the practice is get it.
Just to be.
Yeah. Just do it. No, I mean, if you, like I say, if your family members working with you, probably not. It just depends.
Yeah.
Depends.
What about the seller, when he signs the contract with the selling agent and the selling agent says, okay, well, it's normally 3 months, right? To give the seller a time frame of 3 months to sell.
6.
It's 6?
I make a standard 6 months. And it depends if it's like a duplex or if it's a different type of property, I make it a year. No.
I thought it was 3 months.
Well, you can make it 30 days. You can make it any amount of time, but the seller needs to know what that term is, and then you can be okay with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the listing can be any period of time. On a buyer's market, okay, on a seller's market, nowadays, I mean, you just throw the property in the MLS and it's gone. But when it's a 6-month inventory and it's a buyer's market,
Mhm.
oh, you better believe it's gonna take you 6 months to sell your home. So with a 90-day contract, you'll be out
Yeah.
before you get a chance. So it's a matter of where the market is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told my clients, I said, if you're not satisfied, because I'll give you the chance that if somebody's driving me absolutely insane, I'll fire them. I fire clients before.
Mhm.
Just stuck the life out of me.
Mhm.
And if my legs suck, and I'm like, without that positive energy, it's going to affect the rest of my business. It's going to affect how I talk to my team. It just goes on from there.
Yeah.
So I really just cut.
I find a client who wants a buyer.
Yeah, and then you just refer them to somebody you don't like. No, that was a joke. Yes.
How do you measure about the 6-month inventory? So how do you count? How do you know that the market we're in is 6-month inventory? Is there a way for us to count the numbers, like how we be able to identify that other business?
It's a matrix analyst.
It's a metric.
And also you get reports from title companies, you get reports from different sources that actually is telling you what the,
So if we call a title company, they will be able to tell us like this is 6-month inventory, or we could be able to.
or whatever is at that time. Whatever the, let's say, right now, the inventory is in like 45 to 60 days. Title companies, they send monthly reports of the sales. And they send escrow companies do the same thing too. And they actually go to the MLS and pull out the numbers that tells you what's the inventory.
Even the board, like part of our Pacific West, we have that, monthly market report or something like that, yeah.
And that tells you what the inventory is. Sometimes the financial news covers it too, or you can Google it. Oh, yeah, it's all over. Yeah. Okay, so sellers, what would be some expectations that an agent should set with a seller?
Realistic price.
Realistic price, What else? What would be a sensitive conversation to have with the seller?
Sell agreement contract.
The what?
Sell agreement contract.
Okay, well, there's no way around it on a listing. You have to have a listing agreement, right? On the buyer side, there's times that I actually just, I do it at the time of the significant offer. If I want to. Or if I have a pocket listing, and I'm gonna show it to somebody that I think that might go around it, I send a buyer's agreement just for that one property. You can do that. Okay, so there's different ways to protect yourself, especially when you're dealing with that. Let's say, a seller says, well, bring me a buyer. Okay, so you go with your only buyer that you have, and you take it to the seller that you don't have an agreement with, and then the seller and the buyer get together and tap you up. That's when you can protect yourself. There's a one form for the seller side, but there's also the buyer's agreement that protects you. But and you know, the buyer's agreement, it says to identify the property. It has an area for the property, or you can say the areas can be 90505 area O. I just put every count. That colored me. Yeah, that colored me quite a bit. I have a lot of stories on, you know, how and sometimes being in the right mind is super important when you do lead generation. And lead generation can be, I mean, you're in the line at supermarket to pay. That's lead generation, when the opportunity for lead generation. Go forward, go back, and if you have somebody behind you, you have somebody in front of you, you should be pulling on your business line. By the way, I work with Keller Williams. I'm a great real estate agent. Does anybody feel?
Yeah.
Well, nobody does it. But those, I mean, sometimes people say, well, I don't know a lot of people. I don't have a lot of contacts. Anybody within 6 feet from you, it's a potential lead. In life, we're always in line. In life, everything we do, we're waiting in line. Right? You go to the cleaners? The cleaners? Part of me doing business with them is that they have a little thing with my business card right next to the cashier. Right now I'm implementing a new process, which is I'm featuring businesses in the area. Any interview, doing interviews, I got the fact that I just interviewed the CEO of the Torrance Chamber. And I just did another interview with one of the gyms in Torrance, it's the boutique. And that's how I'm introducing myself.
I'm also trying to do that too.
Yeah.
With like my friend that has like a hair, like a barber or hair salon, I would just like, you know, have some like a partnership with them where if one of the client come in and buys with me and I close the escrow, then I would be able to like, you know, do give them like a haircut, a certain amount of haircut in the house or get their hair done on the house. And it will be, I mean, they don't necessarily need to know like, oh, they just need to know it's on the house. And
Yeah, I mean, you can do that, you know, with when you do door knocking or newsletter. You can partner with some of the local businesses and put coupons in back of your newsletter or back of your flyer. And now, you know, just tell them, just bring this flyer to the business to get a discount on dry cleaning, or to get a discount on the vet, or just anything. Those partners, I mean, it's just different. If you want to do it, you just have to, you know, just, me personally, it took me a while because I don't like myself in videos and I don't want to make a fool of myself. And you realize that it doesn't matter. Okay, but that's just a new way to, because now when I do these interviews, No, I send it to the CEO of the Torrance Chamber, it's what they just did. They put it to the entire membership. So guess what? Every business that is a member of the Torrance Chamber have an opportunity to see that. Okay. The gym. I did the interview on Friday, Saturday we're having an open house, so guess what I did? I went with my business cards into nice pins. Pass out some business cards to their clients, and I left them a box of pens with business cards, which is just like, oh, here, pass them out. So it's just exposure. Yeah, buyer, seller, it doesn't matter, a plan is a plan. So just get creative with, especially in the beginning. Let me tell you, if the more you think about it, the more reasons you're gonna find of why not to do it. Okay? These are not bad. I don't consider things being good or bad. It's what we make in our minds to be. If what's good for one person, it's totally okay for another. So it's just our own mind is the one that makes it good or bad. In reference to prospecting, just don't be afraid of the phone. Don't be afraid to talk to people in public. And the one thing I would recommend, which a lot of new agents do, okay? If you go to a party with your family, don't go talk about like so bad. I haven't had a client, I've been doing this thing already for 5 months, and I don't have one single client.
Hey, I haven't seen it.
Well, no, don't go talk bad about your clients either.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my
it
God,
look bad.
I have one client and this client is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Guess what's gonna happen?
They're gonna be like.
You're talking about me, but you do her. Right? So what you always want to do is you want to talk about the professional, about the market.
Yeah,
about-
sound professional, look professional at all times.
But sometimes we just use our future clients as like, people that we tell our mysteries with. Share the good news.
Oh.
Talk about the pizza that we get on Wednesdays. No. But so always, when you walk into a room, have you noticed that there's sometimes people that walk into a room and you can either feel happy that they walk in, or all of a sudden you just feel like this tension,
Yeah.
and people you're walking in, that's energy.
Yeah, that's an issue.
That's energy, right? And everybody can actually, aware or not, sense it. They say, oh, you feel the tension in that room, right? It's just,
It's true.
and sometimes it takes one
Yeah.
person. Don't be that one person and you got the gatherings, right? Don't be that one person that actually makes everything. And also don't be so intense that when they see you coming, oh my God, they're too calm. They're just gonna try to slow you down. You just, just people, if they ask you, so well, how's real estate?
Oh, it's good.
Is it a good time to buy?
It is. Yeah, it's always a good time to buy.
Always.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but right now, interest rates are so high. Yeah, so,
I've gotten that question from my family. Is it a good time to buy now? What do you think? It's always a good time to buy. Because if you buy now, 5 years, you're gonna have equity, you're gonna have value in your home. It's always a good time.
Best time is, I always say, the best time is when you are
When
ready.
you're ready.
When you are
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
and that's,
I want to buy, but I don't. When you're ready.
You gotta feel ready. You gotta-
so my response is always, the best time to buy is when you can.
Hmm.
But is when you have the credit, when you have the job, and when you have the down payment.
Yeah. No tenants.
Because what happens? I did try, but I put in, during 2009 to 2012, I was going to horrible, divorcing. Literally tied my hands up, so I couldn't But I had some great opportunities that was just great. So the time to buy is when you actually get the conditions aligned. You have the job history, you have the credit, right? So it doesn't matter if the interest rates are high, guess what? Once the inflation actually gets under control. So this is gonna cause a recession, and we heard about that from the lender, okay? It's gonna happen. So what's gonna happen when after like things go? The government now is gonna have to start motivating people to spend. And what's the first thing that they do? They lower the rates. So what are you gonna be able to do 24, 36 months from now? Refinance. Right? And but those are the things that we need to be able to be able to communicate it in a way that is argumentative. If you say it in a way that you're just like confident about it, nobody's gonna question you.
Yeah.
But the moment you like, it's almost like when a client or a buyer or seller asks you, by the way, how much you charge for selling my house? Oh, yeah. And you start doubting yourself, but they know they have it. They know they can work it. My answer is, you know what? It's very simple. I charge 5%. Sometimes 6.
Yeah.
Which is passive.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could start up at 6, right? And then if they want to kind of like, how about, negotiate?
My suggestion would be do your homework. Find out, are you interviewing other agents? You should know this prior to that question.
Mhm.
Okay, if you're gonna be competing, I know that, some people believe that they can get 6% all the time. I don't, I think personally, I think that, we are very well compensated for what we do.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, if I was doing, hey, $130,000 in 1 month. What job's not allowed to do that? I mean, that's crazy. Right? So you have to kind of realize that, the market has changed to where people expect now 2.5%. It's sometimes there's just, it was no occasion that I told people it's 6%, and they're like, oh, just because they're on young, and sometimes I feel like that, taking advantage of their ignorance. Because if they knew, they would negotiate about the fine. So just whatever you feel good with, just don't discount yourself. Because anything under 5, I believe that's a discount.
Yeah.
Right? I can believe people are taking listings, taking 1% and paying 2.5% to the other side. What is that?
My dad just put his house, for sale. He was asking me questions and I answered all his questions. And he said, well, let's do 4%. I said, I'm not doing 4%. And he went with an agent that's doing 4%. And I was just looking at his contract yesterday because he was like, can you look at my contract? I'm like, well, why don't you go and tell your agent to go look at your contract? You're the one who did it, right? I'm like, I'm not your agent. And he told my daughter, oh, can you take pictures of my house? Oh, and then my daughter's like, I'm not your agent. I'm like, no, your agent has to.
So the response to something like that is, what's really important to you? Because it sounds to me like getting the most of your property is important. Well, people that discount themselves. I said, if they can even negotiate their own commission, how long do you think they're gonna negotiate your property? Have you looked at the experience? I'm working for a company and a team. There's stuff now.
I said, yeah, I always tell my family, I come with a great team,
Right,
Oh, yeah. Even though I'm new, there's no one new, but I have a great team.
Right.
They're very professional. They have so much experience.
How much was the property?
500,000. 500,000, he's charging 4%. And then yesterday I was telling my dad, I said, okay, so he's going to take pictures, right? And he said, oh, I don't know, I haven't even asked him. I'm like, you gotta remember that you're the seller. You have to remember that you're the boss. He owes you a fiduciary duty. And he's like, what's that? And I told him what it was. And then he said, oh, okay. And then I said, have you asked him how is he gonna promote your home? And he said, no, I haven't. I said, okay, well, then you need to ask him. You need to call him and ask him, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna take pictures? Because if you come in with your phone and start taking pictures with your phone, which that's what I'm pretty sure he's gonna do at 4%, you know, then, you know, it has to be professional photos if you want to really list your home. You know, now you gotta remember an agent, when you hire an agent, do you want him to list your home? Do you want him to sell your home? Because for me, I'm gonna sell your home. Him, I don't know if he's just gonna list it. He's just gonna throw you a couple pictures on the MLS and then let it sell itself. He gave him 6 months. That's what I asked you. He gave him 6 months to sell this home.
Yeah, but I mean, he can, if he's not satisfied with it, he can just tell him to call a brokerage.
Mhm.
If within why it's not.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that is super important here. As a listing agent, your branding is totally affected even by the pictures that you put up when you take a listing.
Yeah.
Anything that I list, I use a professional photographer.
Mhm.
Drone if it's allowed. It doesn't matter if it's $2 million or if it's $500,000.
Yeah.
Branding. There's nothing that annoys me more than to see telephone pictures on.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I was talking to my dad about that, and then my dad said, I said, call him right now, because him being your agent, your listing agent, he has to answer the phones. He has fiduciary duty to you.
Right.
And then I said, call him, he should answer the phone, and he called him, he didn't ever answer. And then my dad said, okay, I'm gonna text him. And then he texted him and he finally called him. And then I said, before he did call him, I said, ask him, how is he gonna advertise your home? Is he gonna use pictures? And then so he finally did, he asked him, and then this guy said, oh, well, maybe. And then my dad said, why maybe? Because I had already told him what to ask. And then he said, what do you mean maybe? He said, yeah, maybe we'll take some pictures. And then my dad said, well, are you gonna use a professional photographer? And he said, well, it's negotiable. Well, we'll negotiate with that. And then my dad, you see all these red flags. You're seeing all these red flags. And then the guy said, my dad said, no, wait, but I know that's supposed to be out of your pocket, not my pocket.
Right.
Why do we have to negotiate the pictures? And then the guy's like, oh, okay, no, yeah, I'll do it, it's fine. I'm like, Dad, you're getting what you pay for.
Right.
You're getting what you pay for.
And by the way, for family.
Yeah.
I would have done more focus on.
The 4%
Yeah.
the family.
Yeah.
Well, I told my mentors, because I told my dad 6, and my dad's like, well, let's do 4. And I said, okay, then I'll give you a discount. I'll give you 1 point. I'll do 5. And he went with the other guy that's doing 4.5. So I told my dad, have a point, Dad. Have a point. You're selling yourself really short.
Yeah.
And yeah. He's like, oh man, he said, you know what? I'm gonna try him, but if he doesn't sell my house in 3 months, then I'm gonna cancel the whole contract. And I was like, well, what's I mean?
Yeah, the fact that, I mean, the fact that he was family, you have to be careful. But yeah, there's people that recommend go for the 6, well, I would never go with 6 on family members.
Mhm.
Would I do it for free? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
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 But 4%, yeah, any day. And especially, the higher price point you get to go.
Yeah.
The more savvy people are gonna be and the more they're gonna negotiate.
Mhm.
On rents.
Mhm.
They're aware of all the sort of companies. So you have to make sure that you, that you're flexible,
Mhm. Mhm.
because for 4.5, well, absolutely. One thing I do to my existing clients, the repetitive business, one of the things I do is, I always tell them ahead of time, by the way, if I am not representing the buyer, or if I end up securing by this property, you automatically get 50 basis points credit for the closing costs. Like, because I'm not making 2.5, I'm making 4.5 now. 4 points for myself. And they're like, "Good, you go with that."
Can you repeat that one more time?
That if I'm charging 5%, but I happen to have the listing and I happen to have get the buyer for the listing, I give them a credit.
You give them a what?
A credit of 50 basis points. Afterwards.
If he brings in the buyer.
Oh,
Like the listing.
festival bring in the buyer, or the listing that you bring in the buyer, and
No, me bringing the buyer.
so you bring in the buyer, so you basically
Correct.
do agent there, right?
Yeah, that dual agent.
And
That's what it said on the contract. He said, it said right there that if he brings in the buyer, then the percentage will go down to 3%. And I said, well, yeah, and that makes sense.
but it doesn't happen that often. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, unless you already have it.
His own money,
And that would be, I mean, that's crazy. When people discount themselves that
that low.
much, yeah, it's not good. I usually go ahead and just check their history. See what they're
Yeah,
doing.
no, and I did check, and then he's had 3 listings in the last 3 years. That he sold 1 home a year. I told that to my dad too. I said he's sold three homes in 3 years.
Just be careful.
Yeah.
That, because by asking you that could say something,
Mhm.
and you don't want to be seen as the one talking trash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's my dad, so that's why I would,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Quick question, how do you check history of a?
Ambulance?
For the others.
Of the element?
Yeah.
So you check agent history and stuff?
What else? And do you guys have any questions, in reference to, actually, let me go back. We're talking about like having sensitive conversations with sellers. Okay, and sensitive conversations can be the house is really dirty
Mhm,
and for them it's normal.
mhm, yeah,
So, being able to address those things is really, really important.
mhm,
In those cases. I just say, by the way, I have some great, people that I work with. I have a handyman and I also have a cleaning crew. We like their information so they can actually prepare the house for,
mhm,
showings.
Yeah.
Or are you planning to clean it yourself? And if they decide to clean it themselves, I always offer to go check it before, just like,
oh, yeah.
it happens to where they think they clean.
Yeah,
No.
it's not.
So, very, very important to have this conversation, set expectations. Okay, like my conversation goes this way. We signed the agreement and then I give them a timeline. I said, you know, if the property, or depending on when the property is gonna be ready. So if they say, well, it's great for photography this day, perfect. So the property's gonna go on the market either Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday, that's when I put it on the market. So we're not gonna show the property until the open house, Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4. We're gonna have offers. And I'm teaching tomorrow and I'm teaching Thursday.
The offers.
Yes, and we're gonna go into the negotiation. That is super, super important, okay? Because what I have is, and you're gonna learn something that I'm surprised why more agents don't do it. Since 2015, I've been taking listings. Perfect example, here in Harbor City, took a listing at $1,050,000. Okay. After doing my presentation and showing them how I sell the home in the weekend, they let me put it on the market for $998. Generated, in this market, generated 10 offers. The property sold for 1106, $1,106,000. No repairs, no termites, nothing. 2 months of free rent, the new payment, $7,000 a month. So there was an additional $40,000 that I saved the client. Okay, the appraisal gain are $1,050,000. The buyer still paid $56,000 over plus the 2 months of free rent. Okay. And we put the property on Tuesday, we showed it, we had the deadline, I told them, we're gonna open escrow latest by Friday next week. Always works that way. I'll be showing you how that can be done, especially in this market. Because we're going into the area where people are gonna have a bunch of listings and none of them are gonna be sold. If you don't price it correct. The way I'm doing it, it was happening, I was generating multiple offers from all the listings even before this crazy market that has happened since COVID. Why? Because my marketing strategy is like you. And this is on the MLS presentation, by the way. When you do a CMA, it's called intelligent pricing. That's all I do. Which says, if you list the property on market, 60% of people are gonna see it. If you overprice it, 35% will see it. If you underprice it, that goes to 75% people see it. Okay, so I tell them, this is gonna, and my selling point is, it's gonna avoid you showing property for the next 3 months. It's gonna avoid, you having to be inconvenient with open houses every weekend, because we're gonna get it done right now. And then I show them what I've done in the past. Done. The same day I take the listing, I do a change of terms to what amount I'm gonna put her on the market with. So done like that. Because I don't take the listing under price. I take the listing for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And then I do for marketing purposes, I do a price just right down there at the same time. With it. So we
So
can
you put the property under the market for little bit lower the
35%.
35% down than the market average.
Mhm.
Okay, then you get the bidding war
Mhm.
that will increase it to the market value or more of the strategy.
That's exactly what I do.
Right, yeah.
And everything I do is, like I say, it's 3 to 8 days. Just because depending how long negotiations, sometimes you end up with a bunch of offers and things like that. Deal with putting them all together, reviewing and getting counter offers back. But it's a whole process. It works in any market. People are competitive. And the more competitive you make it, faster, and the more you're gonna get for your clients. A lot of people are like, well, how about if, how about if they make a low offer? So you don't have to accept it. They're always in control. Okay. So, very important,
Hi.
Hello,
Hi, this is Suzette.
hi.
It's just a little muffled. So when you were talking about a little clarification on the question, a follow up Alex's question. So you meet with the seller, you were saying, and you suggest to them that they list the house for 35% lower. At the time of listing, you drop it another percentage. I didn't understand what you said. I couldn't hear what you said. I heard you, but I couldn't.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that at the time of taking the listing, I negotiate what the marketing price is going to be.
Okay.
So I take the listing at the market value.
Mm-hmm.
In the same presentation, I show them how we're gonna market the property for 2, 3, whatever they're comfortable with. And that allows me to put the property on the market, 2, 3, 4%, whatever we agree. And that generates a frenzy and generate multiple offers.
So I understand that. So when you generate the multiple offers, does it get back up to in your experience, does it go back up to the original price at least, if not more?
Way over.
Okay.
It usually goes over.
Even in this market?
Yes, I'm closing on something tomorrow.
Mhm.
That I took the listing at 625. I put it on the market at 588. It's closing at 640.
Nice.
Yep, and it happens every week. I mean, every time that I do a listing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's all I have for you guys. I'm gonna be here tomorrow. We're gonna be talking about receiving and making offers. The importance of communication, especially with the listing side, if you're on the buyer side, and also how to streamline receiving offers and making sure that you're getting the correct information and how to request that information from agents when they're making offers on your properties. And also how to present to the client, how to set expectations and how to negotiate. So that's gonna be pretty, it's kind of hard because, you know, some of this information, because we know it all, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard not to go in and out of the different portions, but tomorrow we're gonna be very, specific on the, how to go about, creating the offer, what to put on the offer, the cover letter. It's important to put a little cover letter. Some people, they just send the attachments and here's the offer.
Mm.
You have to work.
Yeah.
This is part of customer service and part of your fiduciary duty is to actually work and get it, do the best that you can. In representing, your clients and for you to fully meet your fiduciary to them and for you to have their best interests and not yours. Okay? That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think